It is all about mindset. Whatever you want in life, better relationship, more money, greater health, more happiness, it will only rise to the level of your mindset. That is why it is 95% the key to everything. You can bust your ass working as hard as you want. You can go on 700 dates. You can do all the things, eat the apples and the salads, and it will not matter if your mindset is not consistently growing and evolving.
That is so true.
So what is mindset? It is not mantras and meditations.
Nope.
It is, here's the actual Webster's definition, a habitual mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. So as you can see, what you believe is what you're going to create around here. And a lot of it, most of it is not your fault. It's simple programming from growing up. Or maybe it is your fault from what you're putting in, from what podcasts are you listening to? What music are you listening to? What friends are you surrounding yourself by? It is direly important. We're going to hit 3 things. And the first one we're going to talk about, Wolf, is
deploying curiosity and asking lots of questions. When we all know when something gets triggered in us. So that means that the situation or the person just pushed a button or something. So you get curious. First, pause. I guess that would be the first thing. First, pause.
So you don't do that
so that you're not reactive. Yeah. So first pause, then get super curious as to why you're feeling the way you're feeling.
Exactly.
And because that'll give you all the answers that you need. Because obviously in a situation, we don't want to overreact. We want to put into action the proper things that need to occur during whatever the situation is for people. But in general, we are so reactive because we're triggered so much. And when you are aware of your mindset and you're pausing and you're getting curious, that sets the tone for what's to come.
Exactly. And curiosity is like being open. Mm-hmm. Like if your mind is a garden and those thoughts and those feelings are the seeds that you're planting to eventually create the life that you're really looking for, you're going to prepare that earth. You're going to open it up and loosen it up so it has space. Mm-hmm. So that's what you want. Use that curiosity to be super open and ask yourself questions like, am I ready? Am I open? Am I willing to change how I think? Am I willing and open and ready to change what I believe? Because that can fuck you up.
It really can.
That's your biggest stumbling block. Because you're like, no, I'm doing the things, and then your mind is like, nope. Sorry if that was really loud. So you slam into that wall. Right. So you need to open things up. Are you willing to change? Are you willing to face yourself? Are you willing to really look at how you think and how you feel?
Mm-hmm. And the best part about it is that you can do that. You can easily flow into that when you get curious.
Exactly.
Get super curious about yourself and start asking yourself all sorts of questions. Why am I feeling this way? Why that triggered me? Where is this coming from? How can I sit in peace with that? Like you ask yourself over and over again, whatever the questions will pop up naturally.
Yes. If you give it the space to do so.
Exactly. I.e. the pause part. And then you can have a better idea of what you need to heal and what kind of mindset you're truly deploying in things,
And that leads us into the second one, which is self-talk.
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying attention and being aware of that background inner voice, whatever that's saying, and you're not being aware of what's coming out of your mouth, you're just on autopilot, you can't change your mindset. Mm-hmm. Because you need to be aware of where your mindset is at so you can input things to start to shift it.
Right. So if the self-talk is very negative, like, I don't want to put it out because I don't like putting out that kind of a vibration. But if it's negative, let's go to the opposite side of that. You know what I'm saying? So it really is about being optimistic and trusting yourself and loving yourself so that you're not putting yourself down.
Mm-hmm. And catching yourself. So one way people do this, a lot of people say, look in the mirror and talk to yourself. Mm-hmm. Some people have a hard time with that. one way I've seen people be really successful is look at a picture of when you were a little kid, if you have one, or find any picture on the internet and be like, that little kid is me, and talk to it.
Yeah.
Like you want to be spoken to. Like, I love you and I wish you all the best. And I see you trying and I see you showing up and you're growing and you're growing, and start, because it detaches it from you if you're talking to a picture. And if you're talking to a little kid, I mean, you're probably not watching this podcast if it's in your bones to be mean or negative self-talk to a kid. And really get that dialogue going. And then you can start catching yourself when you're like, no, just, you know, sometimes I'll do the I sucked at that type of thing. But that's just, I did suck at that, but I'm going to keep going. And here I am. I'm going to shift and go this way because I just learned that from it. So you can always pivot from wherever you're at. And I really implore you to start speaking to yourself as if you were a higher being. Whatever you pray, whatever you have faith into, however you would speak to that being. Because I'm also assuming if you're listening to this and you're not going, I want $1 million, and why haven't you given me the love of my life yet? And because I'm, you know, whatever, ditching that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I have gratitude. I'm sitting in love. I'm sitting in faith. Sit in that for yourself. Talk to yourself like you're a higher being, because you are.
Right. Right. I mean, it's a dangerous game when our self-talk is less than kind. I mean, you're really not honoring yourself when you're putting those types of words or vibration out into the universe about yourself.
And then you're attracting those types of things. So if you're angry a lot, you're going to start noticing you're around a lot of angry people, or having experiences like at a store or driving with other angry people, because that vibe is out there. And then you're like, why? Like, you're getting frustrated and you're getting angry. Why is this all around me? Because it's in you.
Right.
So again, go back to being curious. Why am I feeling like that? And if you don't know, that's okay. I'm opening to find out, or I'm opening to other ways to feel besides being angry. Like, walk yourself out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the self-talk is so important that, you know, you uplift yourself at all moments and costs, because that starts to shift your mindset as well, you know, because we believe things, you know, we believe, hey, I like, you know, I might not be good at a certain thing. And I believe that doesn't mean that I can't do it if I don't try. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if I stick, like, it's so dangerous to stick to that negative chatter, because it prevents you from moving forward. If you don't try, then you'll never know.
Exactly.
So even if you think you can't do something, do it anyway. That's better. That's more positive of a chat that you might be having with yourself. But never ever look at yourself or say to yourself, I'm not worth it. I'm not this, or I'm not that. Those words should never be in your thoughts, because you are everything that you need to make it in this world.
Exactly. And if they're in your thoughts, don't beat yourself up about it. It's not you. It's what was put into your mind when you were very young, or even it could be recently when you're older and you're in a crappy relationship or whatever. It's stuff that we've picked up. So it's something that you can change. It's in your control. If you can recognize what it is, what old program it is. And again, sometimes you don't know. So go back to step one.
Yeah.
It all works into each other. And I'm sure this is not what you expected about mindset. So the third thing, we're going to jump into mantras, because that's what everybody does. That, you know, I am wealthy. I am in a perfect loving relationship. And then they're like, that doesn't freaking work. It helps because it's planting seeds, but it doesn't have all the other components. And I'll tell you why. It doesn't work because your conscious mind, which is your logical mind, calls bullshit on what you're trying to put into your subconscious. So when you're saying those mantras, when you're saying something like, I am wealthy, your conscious mind is saying, no, you're freaking not. And your subconscious mind's like, okay, we won't remember that. We won't remember wealth because the conscious mind just called bullshit on it. So you have to see, you can see how they both work together. So you want to reprogram you have to be able to put in things that your conscious mind's not going to call bullshit on.
Right.
So how do you do that? This is what we're going to tell you, how to get around that. Pick words. If you're talking about money, you want to choose the word wealth. If you're talking about new business, new job, success, you're talking about you want different kinds of friends or more loving relationship, love, peace, whatever feeling you want to feel, or whatever word represents it, like wealth. So if I ask you right now, picture wealth. Like, close your eyes. What does wealth look like? What does wealth feel like? What does wealth sound like? Does it sound like, some cha-ching noise? Is it like wealth? Because of one business I'm in, I have to print out all these stickers as part of the business. I call it printing money. Every time that printer goes off, that means wealth to me.
Right.
So like, there's things that cue you in. So now printer sounds make me happy and make me feel abundant.
Yeah.
And that helps program my mindset because it's hearing the printer all the time. Instead of like, oh, the printer, I'm like, yeah, the printer. So wealth, was I attached to any of that personally? Was I like, I am wealthy? And my brain's like, no, you don't. You have, $20 in your bank account and you can't pay your bills. Calling bullshit. So then it's not getting in there. But wealth is something we can all, it might look different to all of us.
Right.
And it could change over time. Like right now, it could be, having $1,000 in your bank account feels super abundant and wealthy to you. And 5 years from now, it could be having 10 million in your bank account.
Yeah.
It shifts over time. So focusing on a word, especially before you go to sleep, if you can do it throughout the day, take just 5 minutes, maybe while you're washing your hands after you go to the bathroom. Wealth, what does wealth feel like? What does it think like? How does wealth feel? Like all those things. And it'll start sinking in there and stuff will start shifting.
Yeah, for
Promise.
sure. Yeah, because the strongest vibration is what it's looking for. So if you're in that, feeling aspect of things instead of the logical aspect of things, then it can't argue it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like creating that feeling, really, really get to know and live in the feeling of wealth, of love, of peace.
And learn about these things.
Yes.
If you want to be wealthy, learn how money really works, not what you were taught as a kid. If you really want a loving relationship, to stop looking at your current not great relationship and stop looking at other like people arguing and all this stuff.
Or the love relationships that you see in the movies. That's all well and good, but it's not actual reality. So like, what does love feel like, look like to you? Because that is the only way that's going to work. You have to get into real down and dirty details of what love feels like to you and be honest. And that one of the major keys is we need to be super honest with ourselves at all times about the things we truly want and need. So if wealth feels a certain way, looks a certain way, let it be that.
And notice if something comes up.
Yeah.
That like when that thing starts to call bullshit while you're thinking about it, mental note, I might sit with that later of why and be curious, deploy my curiosity, my openness.
Exactly.
And you can judge. Use your judgment to say yes or no. Like if something comes in and you're like picturing a certain person, but that person hasn't been truly present for you, like when you think of the person in that love, yes. And then when it shifts into something they did that annoyed you, no. Like a strong hell yes, strong hell no of which thoughts that you want to pick and pay attention. So your subconscious knows, like just know, and then direct yourself back to what love is for you.
Yeah.
And if stuff isn't working, it's usually patience. You don't plant seeds in a garden and the next day you have tomatoes and corn. Like it doesn't work that way. It takes patience. It takes cultivation. You have to work at it. Same with your mindset. It's a whole season before you get to harvest that thing. But I mean, eventually it takes weeks. A lot of times you'll start to see a little sprout pop through. Some of them don't make it. That's okay. Some do. That's awesome. Or you know how they thin things out in a garden? If you're into gardening, like you thin out some thoughts and you hone in really on what wealth or love means or feels like to you.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you pace yourself, you take your time. Again, you know, put into practice a lot of patience, and really get to the point where you're on a really steady flow of things, you know, so that
it'll happen easier and easier the more you practice, like anything.
You know, I know that we can all be impatient about things that we want. So, you know, like you said, you can't, you know, bring up seeds again when you're in, you know, planting a garden.
Yeah, that's the second one. If it's not patience, it's because you dug up your own seeds.
Yeah.
And that means you're spending more of your energy and more of your feeling and more of your thought processes and more of your beliefs on what you don't want instead of what you want. So you did the 10-minute, you know, mantra thing, but then you did 10 hours of being in lack or arguing with your partner or nitpicking them because you don't like, you know, you're just so set off at this point and it doesn't feel like love, that you're just, every little thing is irritating you.
So really get to know the definition of mindset. Get super curious. Keep a handle on the mindset, on the chatter, the self-talk, and really put into alignment the mantra. It's about the feeling. What does it look like? What does it feel like? So that you can really get into the groove of it.
Exactly. And if you want more, we did a full podcast on this. Look at our channel. It's the Evolve or Repeat Your Choice podcast. Episode 8 actually is all about mindset, and it's called It's All in Your Head, because it is.
Yeah.
All right. See you on the pod.
Peace.